ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। दिवि भूमौ तथा आकाशे बहिरन्तश्च मे विभुः यो विभात्यवभासात्मा तस्मै सर्वात्मने नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So after a few weeks of gap, hope we'll continue now with various stories that are given in the Yoga Vasistha. As I was sharing last time, the greatness of Yoga Vasistha is that between Rama and Vasistha, the dialogue that went on is about the philosophy. It might have been a gist so that Rama is brought out from his despondency and depression. But then later on, the authors must have added a number of stories from the culture just to indicate that how that these stories also resonate with Rama's problem and the solution that Vasistha is offering. One aspect of it. The second aspect of it is that all these ideas that are given in the Yoga Vasistha is Jnana Vasistha. That means to say, it is basically to see that how we can mentally change our attitude, our approach towards that. This is what is Manana, Shravana and Manana and Nididhyasana. This is actually Jnana Sadhana. There is nothing that physically that you need to sit down and do some pranayama, do some meditation or do some yoga postures or some mantra and then japa. All these techniques are not given here. Does not mean that those techniques are undervalued. The technique is that all those techniques may be there, but beyond all those techniques, one thing is that what is the correction that we can apply at the mind level. This is something which is very important. And this mind level correction is what ultimately that sticks to you, that brings about the paradigm shift in your thinking. One thought clarification is something which unburdens a ton of unnecessary complication that was there, confusion that is there in the mind. So for that reason, that these ideas are very useful to see that how we can come out of mental agitations with the help of these things. And another thing is that however much that we try to calm down the mind, control the mind and silence the mind with all the techniques that are there, at the end of it, if the klesha that is there in the mind or the gray area that's there in the mind which is not solved, which always points out to the negative for you, and if it is still sitting there, however much that you do, whatever that you do, still that one thing can come up again and then try to mess up with the whole mind. Therefore, basically, these ideas are very useful, and various stories were giving us various ideas to see that how we can come out of that problem, what is supposed to be inside in the form of klesha, klishta, which is in the form of, see, Rama's problem here is the dejection, and he had everything, he was comfortable, he had kingdom and the nice wonderful parents, everything was there, but then he was dejected, thinking that life is just monotonous, it's going to be in a despondent way, and is this the way that the life is going to continue, was the catch in which that he was locked up. And trying to find out similar kind of stories, ideas that are there in the parampara, the authors have to put them together. One such story is of the Bali, and story of Bali is something that we have heard in Puranas. And the story, actually, very simple thing that we hear is that Bali Chakravarti is somebody who is doing some yajna, and then his teacher is Shukracharya, and Virochana is his father. These are all the things that we know. And while talking about the Virochana also, Puranas say Virochana is a great person. He is an extraordinary, wonderful person, and then he is the person that whose son is Bali. Bali himself is very noble in the sense that he would give whatever that you ask for, and that is the kind of dharma that he had. Correct adherence to dharma, the righteousness that he was there. He promises that he takes care of it. But then he became so popular, he was supposed to be Danava. And he was becoming popular, and then therefore basically that beyond his region that was there, and then he has to be put back into his region. So that was the kind of a thing. Bali Chakravarti comes. When Bali Chakravarti was like that, then he was doing some yajna, for which Narayana comes in the form of this avatara, which is supposed to be the Vamana avatara, the short child, princely, the child who is supposed to be an extraordinary tapashakti, and then he comes there. It seems that Shukra knew about that. Shukracharya knew about that. It is the play of the Narayana, but he wanted to come in the way of the play of Narayana. So therefore, actually Shukra, the story says that he became like a small little insect and then went inside the kamandalu. That means the special mantric, that is special powered water that was there, which is supposed to be given for offering, and he blocked that path. When he blocked that path, then Bali opens that by pushing some darbha. Darbha actually pricked the eye of Shukra. Therefore, Shukracharya is known to be having one eye, and then he comes out, and then he offers him, and then 3 feet of place that he wanted. And 3 feet, when he grants, Bali grants, and then first foot he puts it on the earth, and second foot he puts it on the sky, and third he says, where do I put it? And then Bali bows down, offers his head, and then Vamana puts his foot on Bali and then pushes him down into the nether world, or the kind of the lower world that is there. So that be there and then control the kingdom there, because Virochana was supposed to be a king there, his son was supposed to be there, and therefore that you be there, and the world is, let it run its way, and therefore basically all that is a story that is there. And Vamana is one of the 10 avatars, and this one avatara that you see, that in Vamana avatara, he was not portrayed as a demon. He was supposed to be a great king. And then not only that he did not kill him, that he just pushed him into the other world, that be there and take care of it there. So something like that is a story. So it looks like that this Bali was portrayed as somebody who is not like the other Ravana, Kumbhakarna, etc., or Shishupala, Kamsa. Compared to all of them, they were supposed to be vicious kings and demons, and Bali was different from that. So it's a very nice story in that sense, that you can hear something which is not on the usual way of hero and a villain kind of a situation, but it's something where he's also okay, he's also fine, but he has to find his own place. Whatever may be the thing, that is the way that this story goes with us. Anyway, in this particular episode here in Bali's story, in the Yoga Vasistha, it is not provided with that idea of all that story, Vishnu coming and punishing Bali and all those things. But basically, the dialogue between Bali and Shukra, that was narrated by uh, Vasistha to show to Rama that even Bali was also in the case of the dejection, despondency. A king having everything, but not finding that this is all like I'm at the same level. There is nothing like a growth, vertical development that is there. It's a very nice way that it has been portrayed in the sense that all that what the riches offer you world, you know, at a point of time where we don't have much, even the struggle was there for the sake of really food, and then struggle was there for the sake of shelter. Struggle were there to see that how we can exist, or how we take care of the family. These are the simple struggles that people have it. And at that level, definitely it is necessary to see that we ensure our life. We will have enough to eat, we will have enough to take a shelter, enough to provide to everybody. So this is something that is basically important. At that point of time, it is important because that we thought that food is supposed to be provided for the hunger, and then shelter is provided for the safety, fear. And the same way that the procreation is there, which is the nature of the species maintenance and all that. And there is nothing that you are caught up in these things, and these are what is something supposed to be necessary for the mankind. And for that we are struggling. This is what is called as the livelihood, and basically all those activities that are there connected with that livelihood provides at the horizontal level. That means it's the same plane. Why I say same plane is that you get into hunger and then you take the food. Hunger and food belong to the same plane, and then you are satisfied. And then again that you are thirsty, and then water is there, you come take water and then come back to the same plane. And then you tired, you go to sleep and then come back. See, it's all at the same plane, horizontal level that we are existing. And that's necessary. That's important. We need to exist at that level. And at one point of time where man didn't have all this kind of things, that he developed various things, technology, how to produce more, how to get his needs to be taken care of, and all those things are given. And that is something which is supposed to be the horizontal level growth. But then people go much more than that. That means to say, you try to provide more and more avenue, more and more opportunities, avenues, so that you can have variety of food much more. The house can be bigger, much bigger, place where you stay, and then protect yourself with the help of various clothes, and then variety of clothes that are necessary. Particularly when you are into the cold, when you are into the hot, when you are into this, when you are into that. So all kinds of things that are there. Yes, they are all necessary. But all these things are the necessary that to grow at the horizontal level. A simple small little bed used to be there. Now we have a king size bed. And in order to fit in that kind of bed, that we have a huge house. And it's not just only one house. We have another house in the ocean side. We have one house at the city, and then you go to the ocean side and you have another this thing. Or in a hot place like in India, that you go to a hill place and then you find a house at hill place. Many people have in the plains, they have a house, and then they have all the hill station like Shimla or Darjeeling, they have one house. All these things. And in fact, material world also projects that kind of need for you, saying that in the beginning, when man did not have automobile, the first time the advertisement is that if you don't have an automobile, you are not part of the class that the world is looking at. So therefore, the need was created for automobile, advertisement was created, and then people who come in automobile are supposed to be very special people. So like that, they made all the advertisements, and with all that advertisements, more and more people started going for automobile. Come what may, we must have a vehicle, we must have a car. Went on acquiring all those things, but then when it reached a saturation limit, then the advertisers thought, what should we do? Because that they have to sell their product. The production line is continuing, and then they have to make more and more sales, more and more profits. So therefore, the advertisement started. If a house is in a house, if you have only one car, you say only one car and everybody uses the same car, whether it is the husband and wife and children transportation, everything is by one car. How unfortunate you are. Look at the other person. He has got two cars. So therefore, now the greed has come for two cars, and the moment that the greed is there, that greed is supported by the advertisement becomes a need. When this becomes a need, then everybody goes for second car. So one small car, one big car, but then big car should be something which you can use for the whole family to go outing. Therefore, it should be a station wagon which has got not only the seats for everybody, you can sleep or you can put all the material, load that, go for camping. Now you have all those things, therefore you need to go for camping because this car is there, it is wasted if you don't go for camping. So one follows the second, follows the third, and then this is going on and on and on. Weekend comes that you drive. Actually, weekend is there for the sake of taking rest, but then that weekend is spent more tiring by going out, driving, and all those things and come back. So this goes on continuing. Actually, you are acquiring more and more. This is what somebody said. It is like the way that a goat tied to a smaller little, tied to the post with a smaller rope, it can graze in certain area, a circle which is drawn by that particular length of the rope. But then now, because of all this technology development, all those conveniences that we have, now we have the goat with a bigger rope. That means to say it can now, instead of grazing in area of 10 meters radius, now it is actually can graze in 100 meters radius, huge area. But then what? The same grass that it can graze, nothing more than that. The quality of food is not improved, the quality of life is not improved, it's only a horizontal growth. That's what the science could achieve. And now further and further that they try to increase it. Suddenly somebody realized that this is not the pursuit of life. Therefore, we see here there is some group of people here in the West that they came up that saying that simplistic living. That means to say, why are we increasing all this kind of things? Let's have minimum kind of things so that make life simple and comfortable. But then this can only help if you have any other idea to do it. Any other idea that the way that you spend, because now you are not now running behind the money, you are not working all those kind of things, and you are simplistic, and then it's such a big damage for all the shopkeepers, etc., the industries that are there, the spree of sellers and spree of buyers and all those things that has come down. Thanks to COVID, people further shopping has come down. All these things are okay, but then what do you do with that time? Extra time that you have. There must be some agenda that we need to have it. And this is agenda which is supposed to be, the Western author says that all that what we have been trying to do is the horizontal growth, but then now we need to have a vertical growth. That means to say, rise yourself up, achieve more and more, know more and more things, and then try to acquire more and more. So this is what is the way that now it's in a different way, like intellectually, that you publish papers, you do so many things, research work. So it's all something like intellectually that you are growing, name and fame and this and that and all kinds of things that you have. This is one class of set of people that who are going into the intellectual field, and then they feel that they are wiser than the people who are at the horizontal level. The people who are acquiring more and more things, much more bigger buildings and all that. From that, they feel that these are doing something which is higher, greater, and which is supposed to be vertical growth that they thought of. But those who cannot do that, but then again the moment that is there, once you think of that vertical growth, then there is always again a competition is there. Again something like elbowing is there. And I must be bigger than you, you must be, I am much more privileged, I must have much more greater privileges than you are. This is another pursuit that goes on in the vertical way. So I met one Swamiji and then he was introducing me. about his ashram, said this ashram has this, that, I spent so much money on this, so much money on this, all that. And finally he said, look, I do so much work, I'm more intellectual and I think of so many things and all that. But look at that Ramdev Baba, he doesn't even have half as much knowledge as I have, but then he has so many crores of billions of dollars more than I have. I was laughing within myself, saying that once again that here you are in the form of comparison. Another person also comes saying that I heard somebody confiding with me saying that, yeah, I published so many papers. And in spite of the fact that I published so many papers, I'm not invited as a keynote speaker. Somebody else is given that chance. I sit down and listen to somebody else in spite of the fact that I published so many papers. So even these things become like another continuous journey that is there, which is connected with the material world outside. It's not the question of whether you're doing intellectual work, whether you're doing the acquiring the position, this and that, all kinds of things. But much more important thing is all these things are connected with the world outside. When we say horizontal growth includes all this kind of things, all these kind of variety of things, whether it is in the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Kosha, all these things are catering to your horizontal growth, horizontal development. So it is not really vertical growth. But then what is that vertical growth? I remember a small little story that I read about this growth, that people think that all these things are also are nothing but vertical growth. People think of it superior, that I am doing more superior work than you are, more greater intellectual work than you are. So all these things are there. Once it so happened, I was in USA and I went to a very late. I drove to my friend's place in Wisconsin Dell, a small little town. And a friend took me to his house. By the time it was already 11:30 or something like that. And then he had a small daughter, maybe around 10, 11 years or something like that. And she, with a big smile, she invited me along with the parents and all that. And then they provided me a stay in her room. So dad and mom told her, take uncle to your room and then introduce. So she took me to her room, so sweet girl, and then introduced me to the bathroom. These are the towels and these are the closets. You can keep all these things here. And everything is so beautiful, nice, and then there's water here. And after introducing all those things, he said, I have a book for you, uncle, so that you can read before you go to bed, or maybe after you wake up early in the morning before everybody gets up. Please, you can browse this book and read it. It's a small one. It's a nice story. I was so tired. I told her that, look, I'm so tired. It's already 11 o'clock, 11:30, 12 o'clock, and then I'm ready to just sleep off, finish. I hit the pillow and then I'm asleep. So it's all right. You can sleep. I don't ask you not to miss your sleep, but then just get this book. And nicely, and then she left. And then I closed the door, and then now, naturally, I'm interested in the books, reading books, and all those things. I looked at, there is a temptation in me. Look at that book, what it is. Then I just picked that book into my hands and then opened. It's like a children's story and written in a handwriting kind of a script. It is there, and then with nice pictures. It's a story of a caterpillar. So, wow, it's a story of a caterpillar, and the little girl is reading. Naturally, it's a children's book. I kept it aside, and then I tried to sleep. But then I said that she insisted so much that I should read it. And it's after all children's book and a small little thing, not more than 100 pages. So therefore, let me look into it. There were some pictures also. So that tempted me. I could not resist my temptation. I opened that book, I read. In about half an hour, I finished that book. But the story was so amazing, and that's when I thanked that girl that I'm so happy, glad. Otherwise, I would not have read this book anywhere else. But then you insisted, therefore, it made me to read this book. So I'm really glad. Let me let me share that story with you. And that is, it's a journey of a caterpillar who said that, you know, everybody is rushing, every caterpillar is rushing, so he also rushes toward the where are you going? They're all going. I don't know where the others are going, so I'm also going like that other. He asks another caterpillar, where are you going? No, everybody is going that side, so I'm also going there because that it seems that there is such a big rush. Everybody is going there. I must also go there. So he also went in that direction. So everybody is going there now. After everybody is converging to a point, and then when they converge, then you see that more and more crowd included. Not only that more crowd included, but it seems that they are climbing up a pillar. They are climbing up a pillar. And then he also tried to climb up the pillar, but then there were other caterpillars who were also climbing up the pillar. So therefore, he had to hold on to them. They are slippery, but at the same time that you have to hold on to them. And then climb up. In the process of climbing up, you have to push the other fellow down, and then you climb up. The other fellow curses you. You are pushing me down and you are going up. What is this? This is nonsense. And then like that, and somebody else pushes him also, and then he tries to go up. He overcomes that, he tries to go up. Everybody is going. And in the process, while he was going, he was asking others, where are you going? Why are you going? We don't know. Don't ask those questions. We don't have any time for that. We have to now rush because everybody is going up. So this way, they're all trying to go up, up and up and up. And then as they are growing up, suddenly because they're all caterpillars and they're all climbing. And with that, they all slip down. And once one slipped down, it's like the way that in the Ganesh Puja time in Maharashtra, that they all try to climb up and then the whole pyramid collapses, the same way that the whole thing collapses. But again, they started once again climbing up and up. So this the trial is continuously going on. He's really frustrated. He doesn't know why he is doing that. But at the same time, he's doing, like, because the others are doing, therefore I'll also be doing it. Like that going. As he was going up, suddenly he realized that at halfway someplace, there a sudden change occurs in him. There seemed to be something that's going on, that's happening with him. Looks at himself and see that there is some definite change in him. The whole complexion has changed, the whole system has changed and all that. And then something is evolving, something from within, deep inside and all that. And he saw in many others also that kind of a change is happening. But suddenly at the end of it, he finds that they are not there anymore. Some change occurred, they are not there anymore. So what happened to them? He couldn't realize that what really happened to them. But he also looked at himself, the change is happening. I don't know, this may be a death for me. This may be end of mine, I may not be there. But I don't know really where I'm going up. But then it seems that I may not be able to go up anymore because that I will be vanishing. And then suddenly he sees himself that the change has occurred. He is no more a caterpillar. He becomes a butterfly, started flying up. Then he realized all the other caterpillars are also nothing but becoming a butterfly. And then climb. Now you don't have to climb up. You can just fly in the free air. Wow, what a big change that has occurred. But then why are we climbing up? Why are we going up? Why are we chasing this? Because somebody called us, given the name as caterpillar. So we mistook our tool to be the pillar and we have to go up the pillar. So we are constructing that pillar, making that pillar. At the end of the pillar, there is nothing. There is no end to the pillar at all. And the caterpillar is finished and what it remains is the butterfly. This is the inner transformation that is there. Unless until that there is an inner transformation that happens, a caterpillar cannot become a butterfly. I thanked myself for having read that such a beautiful philosophical story. I don't know how much that girl really understands the philosophy behind it, but she must have been charmed by that book. And then she asked me to read it. I'm really thankful to that. Later on, I never came across that book, or somewhere here and there. But then that was something which is really wonderful kind of a thing. So this vertical change is not about the material world outside. Vertical change is the inner development that we need to take it up. So this is what Rama is looking for. This is what Krishna has given Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna about. And this is what Bali is looking for. And then this story, actually Shuka tries to explain to him about this particular change. So Shuka Mahamuni has given this, Shukracharya has given this, sorry, not Shuka, Shukracharya has given this. Shukracharya himself is a great rishi, and that's given that. So let's like to look into what is this particular thing says, and then now let me give the quote from the quote for today's satsang I had given is Purne Manasi Sampurnam Jagat. This is a simple quote that is there, which represents the story which I've talked about, which is the inner growth. Purne Manasi, that means to say, if there is Purnatva inside our mind, then Sampurnam Jagat, the whole thing, Sarvam Sudhadravaih Sampurnam. That means to say the whole world is filled with Sudhadravaih. That means it's a nectarial fluid. The whole thing is nothing but that nectar that is there, filled with the world. That means to say, if you are Purna yourself, the world appears to be Purna inside. Whatever that you are is what you see in the world outside. If you are looking at yourself as Brahman, the world looks at Brahman. If you are looking at Purna yourself, the world is Purna outside. You look at the world as Purna. If you are looking that you don't have this, you don't have that, you are Apurna, then the world is also Apurna in front of you. Therefore, what is necessary is this change that in our perception that we are the Purna. And that's what is the fourth shloka in this particular Balehe Nirvedaha. That means to say the Nirveda, the worry, the dejection of Bali. And thus Vasista gives us in the fourth sutra, Purne Manasi Sampurnaha Jagat Sarvam Sudhadravaih Upanad Gudapadasya Manucharmas Trutaiva Bhuhu. The world is full of thorns. The whole world is full of thorns. And then you are walking in that thorns. And then you want to cover the whole world with the cover so that the thorns will not prick you. And it's foolishness. You cannot cover the whole world. So a simple thing that can happen is that you wear a shoe so that the thorns do not prick you. The world is full of mud, dirt that is there, slush that is there, and then you keep continuously complaining about it. The whole world has to be changed. But rather than that, you can just put on the shoes that you can walk in that. You will not be touched by that. So what has to happen is the change that is there within before you change the world outside. Many people see this world full of all kinds of things that are there, horrible, dirty, this, that, nepotism, drugs, and this and that. Think of complaints, you can find the whole book of complaints about the world outside. And that book of complaints that are there is what we call it as the great many people that they said this world is horrible. And they found out the reason also that this is horrible because of some people, some selected people. So that you punish those selected people and then it will be over. But then selected people keep on coming. And there's a continuous fight that's going on. And then there are some people who are trying to reform and reform and reform. And in the process, those who reform themselves become Rakshakas are becoming the Bhakakas. That's what they say in Sanskrit. That you yourself become somebody who is like that because you start feeling that unless until that you have the authority, unless until that you do this kind of things, unless until you rise to that level where you can take care of things, the world cannot be changed. The world will not listen to you because that they are not as clever as you are. It's often people think like that I'm bad not because that I'm really bad. I can understand what's good. I know very well that I want to do good. But only thing is that I deal with the people who are not as understanding as I am. Therefore, that I need to become bad to make them understand. Bad, we take the support of it for the sake of spreading the good. And the means is bad. How can you spread the good? The spread also will be bad. Some some philosophers got into that line, and that's how they got in that direction. Whereas basically Vedanta always says that you change yourself, you change your perception, the world will be different. And that you need to come out of with your cover that is there. If you wear the shoe, then the thorns do not prick you. If you wear the cover yourself, nothing will disturb you. The world becomes like a heaven in front of you. World is there, provided with a lot of things that are there. You protect yourself. The world is wonderful. This is the transformation that has to occur within. And another thing is, it's wiser to do that kind of a thing rather than the world outside. This is what Shankaracharya says. What we perceive as a sun is clouded, whereas actually what happened is that sun is not clouded. Your eyes are clouded. In fact, if you think of it, the cloud is not anywhere the sun. The cloud is around the earth. And after the cloud, there is so much of a distance between cloud and the earth, sun. And then cloud cannot reach the sun anywhere closer. Millions and millions of miles away, the sun is there. And not only that, sun is so big that you cannot crowd it. You cannot cloud the sun. It's only your eyes are clouded. Ganachanna markam, ganachanna drishti. My drishti has been covered by the cloud, not the. And in order to cover the sun, you require so much of cloud. And the clouds cannot go anywhere near to the sun. In fact, you can't even take this cloud at all. All that it went up, because of the sun, the cloud went up. If the sun were not to be there, cloud would not have been there. The cloud is formed because of sun, and the cloud is there because of the sun. And not only that, you see the cloud because of the sun. If sun were not to be there, you wouldn't have been seeing the cloud. And then you say that you want to cloud the sun. Where is the sun? What is this idea that you are thinking of? You can't cloud the sun. Cloud is around. To cover the sun, you require such a huge amount of cloud, whereas to cover your eye, to cover the earth, we require small little cloud. Much closer, cover your eye, a speck of dust is good enough. A drop of water is good enough to see that your eyes are clouded. So that is something which is there within us. And what is that which clouds us? It is the ego that clouds us. This is something which is subtler understanding that we need to see that. I have this, I have that, I am that, I am that. That itself clouds your eyes, in the sense that with this cloud you can't recognize what you are. Because so much that you are wedded to the world outside, your ego is nothing but that your identification with whatever that you have, not what you are. So come out of the question of what you have to what you are. I have this wealth, I have this thing, I have this kingdom, I have this power. More than that, I have this knowledge. Even this also is the cloud. And that's what is the ego. Why is it something which is bad about this? Whether it is money, whether it is the power, whether it is the position, or whether it is the knowledge, all these things frighten us, frighten others. In fact, the moment that you go to somebody, the moment that somebody finds out that you are a wealthy person, you are a powerful person, or you are a knowledgeable person, you see what happens. That person distances from you, himself from you. You are disconnected because he is afraid. His knowledge may threaten you, his money threatens you, power threatens you. You are landed into fear. You don't want a society around you which has all those kind of things, or which exhibit all those kind of things. It's not for the sake of exhibition that you do it. You have to become humbler with these things. The more and more that you become humble, the less and less that you're egoistic, then you'll be reaching more and more people. Like the way that the same wind that goes around the world, around the whole creation, that goes into you and takes care of your prana. What a beautiful way that it takes care of you. So this way, basically all these things, that is clouding oneself, mean basically developing the ego of the cloud that is there. So chinta nenaiva chinta, naidyate chinta, Vindhyane nevaida pavakaha nashyatya chintaya chintane naiva vinidhya namivalanha. Anxiety grows by thinking. The more and more that you think of it, the more and more that anxiety grows, just as fire grows by fuel. The more that you put the fuel into the fire, and the fire grows become bigger. Initially, many times that the fuel looks to be quenching the fire. The moment that you look at the fire, you think that the fire is desiring. It's like the way that the thirsty tongue looking for the water, but it is not that way. Looks like it is just chintana, chintane nain gyate chinta. Tad janthanaive pavakaha nashyat chintane naiva vinindhya namivanalaha. Ivanalaha, that means the fire, when there is no indhana, there is no. So your own chinta becomes like the way that it feeds the chintana that is there. A worry which starts in a small little way, if you do not take care of that worry at that level, you cannot disconnect yourself from that worry. If you cannot laugh at that worry in the beginning, that worry grows bigger and bigger and bigger until that time that it can consume you. That's why our chintana, our worry, is like the way that it is like the snowballing effect. Any object that is there, any idea that is there, it can give us to two things. One is called as a Shravana, is the first time that you listen to it, and then it makes you to feel that you understand that chintana. And this chintana has two prongs that is there. One way chintana is there is to see that when you hold the positivity of the chintana, right way of the chintana, chintana makes you to grow better, and that's what is chintana, becomes manana and then becomes nidadhyasana. Otherwise it happens when you look at the negative aspect of chintana, then that itself grows like the snowballing effect, and chintana becomes your ego, and chintana will grow into snowballing effect, into fear. So therefore, essentially, that your identification with the chintana becomes it as vasana, and then vasana becomes much more like an evil for you. So that's why the anxiety grows by thinking, just as a fire grows by fire. It perishes by absence of the thing, just as fire without fuel. Small little way that you see that it does not become like a fuel, it becomes like a vasana. On the other hand, it becomes like a manana. That should become changing of this whole idea that is there. Chintana is something that is there, but then chintana should not become manana for you, vasana for you. It can become manana. So nothing whatsoever saves one from difficulty excepting one's own courage. Vinivarita sarvarthat apahastita bandhavan na swadhairyat rute kinchit abhyudhyarati sankatat. Your own freedom from the fear is the one which brings you out of that. There is nothing to fear. Here, why he brings about the fear? Because the fear is basically that something damage can be done. Something damage can be done to my things. I'm identifying with that lot of things that are there in the world outside. More and more that I identify with so many things that are in the world outside, then more and more there's a fear of something wrong can happen, something bad can happen, something I can lose it, I can get damaged by that, whether it is in the form of an object or in the form of name and fame, in the form of position, or in the form of power. Somebody takes away my power, and even that can really make me afraid of. Even big people, great people, that they had that fear. And the fear was so much that they day in and day out, that they were consumed by that fear. So this is what is the fear. That's what is the directly proportional to the amount of ego that you have. So nothing saves you from the difficulty accepting a courage, freedom from the fear. And that's what is dhairya, swadhairya. That means to say inner courage that you get, dhairya. It's a very beautiful word in Sanskrit we have. What we look at is the fear is known as, in Sanskrit we call it as the bhaya, because the bhaya of losing. And second thing is we try to ensure that with the help of more and more objects, more and more protection, and more insurance that we try to provide all those kind of things. So therefore, in fact, yesterday I was hearing somebody saying that we are going to start a COVID insurance project. So insurance is the way that people are taken care of. Wonderful. That's a nice idea. But then insurance is not the freedom from the fear. It is actually concretizing the fear. You have fear, and that something might happen to you. So therefore, that you have to. Yes, it's understandable today because that the number of COVID cases are increasing. Therefore, people think like that. But now, not in that context, but the simple thing is that try to provide every kind of isolation from the world outside. That's the way that you try to provide yourself an insurance. But in spite of taking care of all those things, however much that you have, however much that you are educated, and whatever kind of things that you have, still one day or the other death has to come to you. Death, you cannot avoid it. That fear of death is about that death and not about this particular one local incident today that you see. But the fear of death is something which is much more deeper than that. Now this, one way that we could come out of it, we have another word called as nirbhaya, where you try to ensure. The second thing is abhaya. Abhaya is rising above the level of fear. What does not die, you identify with that is the state of abhaya. We have within us a state of abhaya, aspect of us, and then there is something which can come and go. Our wealth, our knowledge, all these things can come and go. But only thing is that you are conscious, your consciousness, that's what is behind all these things that are there. And that you can reach only when you go deep inside. De-identify yourself with whatever that is there outside, leave them behind, and then become one with deep inside. That's what is the case of abhayasthiti. So, and this going inside is what is called as vairagyena. Vairagya means vitaragaha. Identifying with the world outside, come out of it, and that's what is vitaragaha. Vairagyena cha, there are three different important things that he gives about these things. One is, how do you come out of it? First thing is that vairagyena. That means to say, whatever that you are not, don't identify with that. All these things are necessary in the world that you use it. Like for example, you have hunger, body is there, body has this hunger. And for the sake of hunger that you give the food. Food and hunger, that they are interconnected. And then you give it to the body. Shelter and the home for the body, that is there. So therefore, so many things that are there which are connected with the world outside. Only for the sake of that interacting is possible. For that, vairagyena, this is what is. What is that which makes you clear about what is vairagya, what is real true vairagya? A lot of people have a confusion about that. They think that giving up, they try to punish themselves in the form of giving up. No, it is not to punish oneself. It's not the question of that you are an enemy to this body. You are not enemy to this body, you are not enemy to the object, the world outside. And the desire to have that object is also something which is you are not enemy about. Hunger is there, thirst is there. These are all the things which are there. And then you created a family, you created a structure, you created a society. All these things are there to take care of these needs of yours. Don't have to give it up. In fact, these are the things which are necessary for our system. And be in that, be with that. But only thing is that let them not ride you, let them not decide you. That's why Vairagyena cha, then Shastrena. Shastra are the texts which talk about these things, clarify about these things. Otherwise, when people do not have the idea of Shastra, then what happens? Their Vairagya is born out of a hearsay, or they see somebody, they try to imitate somebody, and then they go by that. And in the result, what they do is that they try to punish themselves. They try to create a problem for themselves. Vairagyena Shastrena. And these Shastras are given by people who have experienced, who have passed this particular path. And first of all, in the first place, that why are you impressed upon this? Because you have seen such great people. There are some people who are walking in that direction. Though there are hundreds of people who follow the run-of-the-mill kind of an activity, but there are some people who follow this kind of path, and they are the people who are impressed. You are impressed by that. They are very impressive. So based on that you go, and these are what is called as great people who have written these books that are there. So Vairagyena cha Shastrena and Mahatvadi Gunairapi, and then by the Yatnena Apadvighatartham Swayamevagna Met Manaha. Let one raise his mind by himself alone, by one's own, by effort. That's what is Yatnena. I have to consciously put my effort to go in this direction. See, there is one level of that you are trying to punish yourself. No, it's not to punish or not to trouble ourselves, but practice that you do it. For Yatnena, there's a way of practice that you do it for the destruction of calamities and through passionless study of scriptures. That means to say, Shastrena, by reading the scriptures, and Mahatvadi Gunairapi. And then you see that these impressive characters that are there, in these scriptures that are there, and then Mahatvadi Gunairapi, Dattena Padighatartham, that means through, and spiritual strength, Swayameva Unmated, that means to say you have to grow by yourself. Once you grow yourself in that, then you see the change, the transformation that occurs within you. You perceive the world also in a transformated way. That is why Purne Manasi Sampurnam Jagat Sarvam Sudhadravaih. The world is something which is constantly flowing. The flow is what is called as world. Brahman is something which is sthiti, and world is called as the gati. So sthiti is something where you are absolutely peaceful, calm inside. Absolute no activity that is there is supposed to be sthiti. Sthiti is peaceful anyway. Sthiti is Brahman, and that's what is deep inside the Brahman. But the world outside is also gati, and this gati is also something which is from this Purna. Only difference is sthiti does not undergo any change. Gati constantly changes. So therefore that we have this changing reality outside, and behind that there is an unchanging Brahman that is there behind it. If you can recognize these two things as part of one and the same thing, one is an expression and the other is an impression, then you see that Purne Manasi, that means to say, inside that there is supposed to be Purnatva. I feel inside the Purnatva. This is what is the spiritual growth. That's why we have the highest mantra in the Upanishad saying that Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avasishyate. In fact, in a society, in a culture where, this only culture where he says that even this manifested world is nothing but Purna. Unmanifest Brahman is Purna, manifest world is Purna. That means everything in this manifest world itself is Purna, is complete by itself. It does not require anything to fill it up. And whatever that comes out of it in the form of gati, in the form of movement and activity, it is an expression of this purnatva that is there. It's a celebration. It's an expression of fullness that is there. Like the way that a mango tree is there, it is purna itself. It has got all that ingredient within. Provided given an ambience for that, it comes out with the nice, wonderful fruits of mangoes. It comes out of the tree, and it's an expression of the fullness that's there inside the tree. Every tree is like that, every activity is like that. The purnatva that is there inside giving a manifestation that a peacock has the dance within and all the feathers are there. But given an ambience and it just unfurls itself and giving a very beautiful sight for you. This is the way that the creation is. Creation is like a dance of peacock. Creation is like a melody that comes out of the flute. Creation is an expression of fullness that is there. Ocean is full, therefore the ocean spends all these incessant waves all the time. So, this is what is called as the ambrosial fluid. That's a pristine, beautiful fluid that is there. Sudhadravaih. We have such a beautiful image created for that, that Vishnu is lying down on the ocean of milk and then is lying down taking care of this universe that is there, creation that is there. So let's have within us this kind of a view. That whole thing is nothing but Purna. Does not divulge us from doing our activities. Take away that what happens is that the activity that we do becomes something which is an expression of that fullness that's there within us. Our activity becomes like a flower flowering. Our activity is like a fruit coming up. And our activity is like the way that a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. The changes from within. Vairagyat purnatam yati manonasha vashanugam na tatha bhati purnendu na purnam kshirasagaram na lakshmi vadanam kantam spruhahinam tatha manaha. The mind, helplessly following destruction, attains to fullness on account of passionlessness. The full moon does not shine in that manner. The milk of ocean is not filled to the extent, and the face of Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, is not so much pleasing as the mind without desire. When you don't have the desire in your mind, this whole world can be perceived. There's such a beautiful example that he gives. The moon that is there, and it is full moon, full of that nice, wonderful nectarial kind of a light, a soothing light that is there. And now this full moon does not shine if you do not have that desireless mind. That means it's a mind which is completely full in itself. When you are in that state of fullness, then you look at the moon. Moon shines much better. Moon is so beautiful, so extraordinary. You can start appreciating the moon. Same thing, and when this is not there, the full moon does not shine in this manner. Similarly, the moment that you don't have that fullness within you, you are not with that. You are constantly filled with some desire, some passion, something to get, and all those things at that point of time. The milk of ocean that you think of is also not full in extent. And the face of Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, and who is taking care of Vishnu lying down there. And even there you do not see, but there is something which is pleasant. Yeah, in fact, some people are there who are negative in mind. That means that they always see something which is negative, something which is bad. There are those people who can see something wonderful. That's what the Upanishad expression says. Isavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena punjita magratah kasya svirthanam. Actually, this is the first shloka of Isavasya Upanishad. And Ishavasya Upanishad, the mantra, this beginning mantra, Upanishad mantra, peace chant, Shanti mantra, is Purnamadaha Purnamidam. So therefore these are so totally related. The say there he says that I see Isha Avasyam. The whole nothing but God. Everything is nothing but God. It's so full, so extraordinary like God. Whereas here or there, people say that where is God? I see the world is so horrible a place. And this is bad, that is bad, this is horrible, that's horrible. Nobody can improve this. No way it can be improved. You have to accept this. Only way that you can say is that, yeah, this is wonderful. These are the two different kind of people. Somebody who is negative, somebody who is positive. Somebody who is pessimistic, somebody who is optimistic. An optimist says this is a wonderful place. There is no better place than this world. An optimist says that, yeah, this is a horrible place. And not only that this is a horrible place, but there is no better place than this. Dialogues seem to be the same, but then perception is different. Some people are negative. They only see the thorns in the rose garden. They don't see the roses. Even if you try to show them the roses, they only say that these roses are planted in such a viciously so that they can attract thorns. They can attract you so that thorns can prick you. Whereas the optimist sees that the thorns are also protecting the roses. It's a positive way. So it's only the way that you look at the world. And the moment that you look at the world in a positive way, every moment that you live in this world is a celebration. When it is in a negative way, then this world negative is like a burden on you. You are sitting there, a thinking man. Your chin is supported by your hand, and then you are holding a huge earth on your head, globe on your head. Indian philosophy always looked at the things in a positive way. They wanted us to look at the positive way. That's why in all our stories, even though such demons were there, like Ravana, Kumbhakarna, etc., they were there. But ultimately, when you look at the whole story of Dashavatara, they say that these were also nothing but the gatekeepers of Vishnu, Jaya, Vijaya. Only thing is that they did not recognize the greatness of a rishi who came there, and they stopped him. And the rishi got anger, and therefore he cursed these people to go. And therefore, in 3 times, in 3 lives that they get mukti, moksha, they went back to Vishnu. So the stories are always in a positive way. If an avatara, if a story is not giving you in a positive direction, why that story? It should motivate you. Like for example, somebody who follows dharma, somebody who follows good, does good to the society. If I do not write a story where that fellow has really been benefited by the goodness that he has done, the world has taken care of him, if I do not say, what is that I am trying to give a message? I am trying to give a message that being good is not good enough, not nice in this society, and then you will be in a danger. Is that the way that we are trying to give a message? A spiritual message is to see that somebody is even positive about goodness. Athva balivat buddhibhedena jnanamaptatam patale danavo raja virochana suto balihi dashakotistu vakshanam daityarajyam chakaraha. Now therefore, otherwise he says that the story of a Bali, and let knowledge be obtained through the disturbances of the intellect. So intellect is agitated. Intellect had these questions, intellect has these worries. And these questions, let it bring about the goodness out of you. In the Patala Loka, that means to say in the nether world that is there, the demon king Bali, the son of Virochana, indeed formed the kingdom of demons, and he was very happy living for 100 million years. That means to say, for a long time that he was ruling that kingdom that is there in the other world. Not only that he was ruling that kingdom, people were happy and everything was going on all right. Only thing is, it was on the nether world, that means on the other side of the south side of this. Now, and then he was ruling there for hundreds of years that are there. And Patale Danavo Rajo Virochana Suto Balihi, his son of Virochana, his name is Bali. And Dashakotishu, Datakotis to Vyakshadam, Daityarajyam Chakaraha. So therefore that he was formed the kingdom of the demons, and for 100 million years. In fact, our scriptures always talk of 100 million years. Koti. The idea of Koti, the time that they talked about, maybe in terms of years when they were talking about, it may not be the time of year that we are looking at. It may be like any of us. But only thing is that the expression, we might have missed it over a period of time. Because in between that there was so much of literature is lost. In fact, I was reading Ramayana also. There also, Dasharatha lived for such long time, 60,000 years, ruled that kingdom, etc., etc. comes. Probably the time sense at that time, the word that we use as a samvatsara may not be the word that today we mean, because Praya is supposed to be the age that is given. In fact, in Rama's age, when he says that less than 20 years, Shodachuna Praya, that is the time that he got married to Sita. So that means he became an adult and then he got married. So all that scale seemed to be something which is matching with us. So therefore, Samvatsara seemed to be something different from the Prayaha that is there, which is about the age. So let's not get confused about this millions of years which they talk about, court issue. Let's keep it aside. So, Dashakotishu Varshanam Daityarajyam Chakaracha Ajastramati Bhukteshu Trailokyo Daravartishu Achinam Praptam Bhogeshu Chintaya Masa Chaukatha. So, having got aversion in enjoyment, which were enjoyed in excess constantly, and which were agreeably highly thought of by three worlds, once he reflected as follows. Exactly the same situation what Bali has is similar to what Rama complained to the Vasistha about, Vishwamitra about, and his own dad, he complained about that. How long should I go on continuing to enjoy? This is the same kind of thing that is there. Only thing is the recipe keeps changing, but the life does not seem to have any charm other than just Kim va bhavati bhukteshu, kim na bheshu, kim na medam sukhavaham, punaralingate kanta, punarevacha bhujyate, punaha punaha idam kurvan, prajnaha kasmin nalajyate, hridaya pyanaya nityam, kriyaya kartu karyaya. So he says that what possibly happens by enjoyment? What is that which is called as pleasant? Kim namena sukhavaham? What is meant by sukha? Pleasant. Again and again, a woman is embraced and enjoyed. During this repeatedly, why is a wise man not ashamed of this action which is continuously performed, though it has done its work? Now imagine a very simple equation there, that is, it may be the same activity that you are doing, like the a person who is living in a hut or a person who is living in a palace, a person who is living in a heaven, a person living in a hell. The same work you keep doing it repeatedly day after day after day. Even if I am staying in the prison, and now a lot of people are going to go there, and then all those things. And what happens if you are supposed to live for, say, 30, 40 years, 10 years, 20 years? That means day after day after day, you are doing the same thing. For lifetime that you are doing the same thing. You get used to it. This is what Bertrand Russell said, that I don't appreciate this idea of Christianity. Why I'm not a Christian? He says, because first thing is the kind of sin that I have done. Consciously, I have never done any sin. But then you say that I have done this sin because I don't believe in Jesus Christ, or I don't believe in God in heaven. Therefore, he pushes me to the hell. And for eternity, he will push me to the hell. And therefore, I have to be afraid of. If I know once guaranteed that for eternity I am going to be hell, then it is no more a hell. I get adjusted to it. I keep continuously doing the same thing. So in all these cases, what happens is that whether you are simplistic living or anything that you are doing, if you do not have any other purpose or approach to the life, you are repeatedly doing the same kind of thing. You get up in the morning and clockwork that you are doing the things. Now look at the way that if you are having a life like that, that means basically, are you not being a slave to take care of this existence that is there? I have to prepare food, I have to give this food, I have to do cleaning and washing and this and that, I have to clean the house, I have to live that, and I have to do that. So it looks like that I'm just doing. It's not like that I'm an intelligent being doing it. It looks like that I'm robotic, in a robotic way that I'm doing the same thing. When I look at myself, what is that I'm doing? For a lifelong that I do these things, whether I work or not, whether I do something or the other not, one day or the other this is going to go, because that's what is its dharma. Body has its own dharma and the way that has to happen. When I start looking at this whole thing, that looks like that, it seems that I am caught up in this particular horizontal way of looking at my life. I'm not doing anything beyond that. So he is in the hell, supposed to be, and the king of the demons, and then he made their life comfortable, not that they are suffering, and not he is suffering because he's in the palace. The king in the hell is also like a king, and there is all those things that he says. What is the purpose of life? What is the idea of life? Is it the same thing that's going on? In the sense that it doesn't look like that I have any creativity within me. I'm not able to manifest anything other than what it is in the form of routine that's going on. You might see it as I'm enjoying this, I'm enjoying that, but then even this also seems to be like a routine kind of a thing. There is nothing which is enchanting with me. Kuvartha sya tadrusham yena punaha karmana vidyate. What purpose could there be by which there is no bondage of action again? It looks like that I am bound to doing these things. Yeah, as a child did certain things, as an adolescent I did something, as an adult I did something, old age I do something, and I keep seeing the same thing that the people are repeatedly doing it, and then one day doing that they are not there. That's what is life. And whole life seemed to be like a very, very ironed out kind of a absolute mechanical, simplistic life that is there. Huh. Somebody has bigger car, somebody has smaller car, somebody bigger house, smaller house, somebody knows 10 languages, somebody knows no language. These are the things that are there. But then again, when you look at yourself, you are all by yourself. So this is what struggle that is. So he goes to Virochana, his father. Smritim yat puraha prushthe maya tato Virochana. Oh, that which my father Virochana has asked formally has been remembered by me. So this is what is the way that it is there. Pitaha sakala dukkhanam sukhanam chapi sarvashah yatra sarve brahma shanta kosau simanta uchatam. Father, tell me, what is that boundary line, or the utmost limit of all the pains and also pleasures on all sides, where all delusions, all confusions are alleviated? A caterpillar becomes a butterfly. A transformation occurs within us. We are looking for that change, looking for that growth. That's what is the idea. Let's continue the story next week. We'll stop it here. Thank you so much. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.